Hey, back again for the back part of the bodice. All right, first video, if you watched it, we broke down the measurements and did the back part of the bodice. All right, now this part we will be doing the front of the bodice, right? So if you follow the steps for the video before this, the front bodice, you would have all of this done. And, of course, on the in the video, I explained that this mark right here. Oh, hold on. Right, this mark right here is 3/4 of an inch below this chest line. Just watch the back bodice sloper. I think I put front bodice sloper for the name of the video. I just realized that. I will correct that. Okay. Now we're doing the front, right? Okay, for the front, this line here that we already had, I had squared ahead of time. I told you in the previous video that this will be the center front line. So all you have to do is just square it, just finish it, square it straight on up to the starting line, right? And with your center front measurement that you took from the belly button, which would be here, the waist, right? Right there in the center would be the belly button at the waist, going up to the dent at the base of the neck where the neck connects to the chest, right? That would be this mark here. So whatever your center front measurement is, you would mark it right there on this center front line, right? And you match the neck space with the back. The back, we did it 2.5 inches from the center back line, right? And we marked it right there, 2.5 inches, and we did a mark. So you do the same thing here, 2.5 inches from the center front line, you do a mark, right? Now, the shoulder, okay, I'm gonna explain to you. The shoulder is a little different. Same way, but it's just something that's different, okay? Now, you do half the shoulder, and you mark it from the center front line here. You go over half of the shoulder, whatever it is. If it's 18 inches and it's 9, so forth, and so on. And you would mark it wherever half of the shoulder is, and you square the line down 2.5 inches, right where the shoulder would be, because we're going to have our front shoulder slope touch this line here, right? So that's what this is. Oh, I see on here, it's because I'm not really reading it. Okay. Oh no, we got to do the front shoulder slope. Okay, that line shouldn't be here yet. Okay, the front shoulder slope, whatever the measurement was from the belly button to that bone at the shoulder. Remember, you measured shoulders from bone to bone. Well, you did the front shoulder slope from the belly button to the shoulder. Doesn't matter left or right, unless there's something with the person you're measuring. Then you would have to do each shoulder separate. But that's something I'm not dealing with right now. I'm dealing with basic. All right. So whatever the measurement was, number one of the measuring tape, number one of your yardstick right here at the waist center front, which would be at the belly button, and wherever that bone, wherever the measuring tape touched that shoulder bone up here at the end of the shoulder, That's where whatever that number is, 18, 18 and a quarter, 17 and 3/4, whatever it is, that's where you want your ruler to touch. So on your ruler, your yardstick, at 17 and a quarter or 18 inches, whatever it is, you want that number to touch this extended line, this squared shoulder line. And you want to make a mark wherever your measurement touches that line, right? And then you can go ahead and draw that straight line from the neck to that shoulder. And as well, you can do the neck here to the center front mark. Now, but when you do this front part of the neck, on the back, I showed you where I wanted it. Not that. Where I said you should use what part of the hip curve you should use. This part here, right? Same thing for the front. Same thing for the front. You would take the 0 right there. You would take the 0 part of it right there. And you would place the 0 right here at your center front mark. Then you would just go ahead and position it, move your hip curve to the hip curve itself touches this mark, and keeping 0 here at all times. And then go ahead and draw that front neck. You're using that part of the hip curve because it makes a really nice curve. I've done this numerous times, and it always makes a nice curve, right? A very nice curve. And remember that our neck we made a little smaller. And that's another point. I have to put that in the description for the first video, but I'm catching it now. The neck is smaller, but I'm basically doing men's neck, even though this is small for a men's neck. So for a woman's neck, this space, this mark, this neck mark, it would be 2 inches or 2 1/4 inches. All right, you can do it 2 inches to 2 1/4 inches from the center front over to this mark. You can do it 2 1/4 or 2 inch. But for those who follow the first video and you're doing it now, whatever you make your neck mark for the back, you have to do for the front. They both have to match. So if this space is 2 1/2, well, they both have to be 2 1/2. All right. So so if you already watched the front bodice video and you made your front bodice, if you watched the back bodice video, and you already made your bodice according to the previous video, well then whatever measurement, which was 2 1/2 inches, that's what this one will be as well. I'm trying not to make you confused. I'm trying to make it simple and clear as possible. All right. So we have our front neck drawn in. We have our shoulder drawn in. Our shoulder slope, that's drawn in, right? Next part. Same thing with the arm hole, right? We same part of the ruler, but in the last video I said it's a little different. So what you would do, right? I keep hitting that and it keeps going to that page. Now I want to go to that page. So what you would do, you would take the hip curve, that's millimeters. Don't want to use millimeters. We're doing inches. Okay. This thing is so small. All right. Sorry, I'm trying to. Okay, not a good picture, but you know the 0 is here, right? So, and the 3 is over here, right? So what you're going to do is, sorry, you're going to put the 3 right here. You're going to put the 3 right here at this mark. And remember that the space from this center front line going over to this mark is the front chest measurement. Remember on our math, we did our math, right? For the chest, we divided it by 2, moved a half inch from one number to the other, and the larger number would be the front chest and the smaller number will be the back. Divide that by 2 because we're only using half of the front measurement and half of the back measurement for our sloper. And we're doing the front, and I used 38 inches for the chest, and you got 9 3/4 for half of the front, right? So that's what that 9 3/4 or whatever chest measurement you used, and you did that math right there, divided it by 2, moved a half inch, and then divided that by 2. Whatever that number is, you would go from this center front over and mark it here. And if you followed the first video, it wouldn't be a mark. But just in case you're doing them separate, because the way I'm teaching this, I'm used to doing them both at the same time. So I would do one first, but I will have the lines there, and I will go ahead and do the second one and cut it all out at one time. All right. But if you did not, that's what this space would be. That half of the front chest measurement right here. So you would take that hip curve I showed you and the number 3 on the hip curve, and you would put it right there, which represents the side seam of the front bodice. And you would see how this comes right out of the line. The line here is straight and it comes right out and curves up. That's what you would do from the 3 to the 0. It may not even have to go to the 0. It might stop a little short of it, but no more than put the 3 here, and you're curving it up to the 0, and you stop. Then you turn it the other way, which would have the curved part down here. 0 would be facing down here, and all the higher numbers would be up here. Curved part would be facing this way, right? And then you would put the curve here, because this line is kind of straight, but it's slightly curved. So you would just go ahead and finish your front armhole with the hip curve, bringing it from this shoulder right back, fade it gently. It should go right in to where to this first armhole line that you drew. So it should go from the shoulder right into that line. Go right into it to complete it. All right. That's why I said when you put the 3 here, you may not have to go to the 0, because when you flip it and you coming from the shoulder going down back into it, wherever it meets this line, it may not be at the 0, which would be here. It might be a little bit down here. It might be a little bit down here. But wherever it slides right into this line, that's where you want to draw it. So you might have a little bit of this, you will erase off. And that would complete your armhole, right? So you would have the neck, shoulder, and the front armhole. Now we got to do the dart and the side seam, right? Now, the front dart is different. For the back dart, we went over 3.5 inches, but for the front dart, it's 3 inches on this chest line, 3 inches on the waistline, and you draw a line connecting those two, right? Then the space here is about, usually it's a little bigger than an inch, because the front dart is not 1 inch. The front dart can be a little bit bigger, so we'll do 1.5 inches, okay? So from this mark, which is 3 inches from the center front, you go over on this waistline 1.5 inch, 1.5 inches, and you make a mark, right? Like it says here, and we did it on the back. On this straight line that you connected these two lines here, these two marks, you go down 3/4 inch and you make a mark, and from that mark you draw a straight line to the other dart, to the other mark that you did, which would be the side part of the dart, right? This is center front, this is the side. And that will be the dart. It's not completed because actually on paper it would be a little dip down here, but you can, you don't, that's when, because on our, we learned to do two different front slopers. One was the dart was just open, meaning it wasn't no paper here, it was just open. On the other one, it was just a mark here and a mark here and a mark right here for the dart. And yeah, of course, this had this little dip there because all of that was paper. It wasn't cut out. So, but we're going to do the cut out one because it's not really necessary to have the dip, but there are certain styles in women's blouses that you would need that dip in there, you know. But we'll handle that. We'll deal with that when we come to making women's blouses that have a dart in the front, and we need to discuss that. But for now, you can have that part open. You don't have to have it solid one. All right, so now we did our math, right? Waist, same thing. We did the math. Waist with my sample waist. Whatever your waist number is, you divided it by 2. You moved a 1/2 inch from one number to the other, and the bit larger number became the front, right? And you divided that by 2, and my number is 7 3/4, so your number is going to be something else. So we take that front waist measurement, right? We already know this is 3 inches, right? So you would minus me. I would minus 3 inches from my 7 3/4, which will get me 4 3/4. So you minus 3 inches from whatever your front waist measurement is, right? And from this mark here over, you would put the rest of the number. So I would do 4 inches 3/4, and I would make a mark. Your number is different, so you do whatever your number is, right? And then I would connect this point here, side seam, to that mark that I made for the rest of the waist to complete my front bodice. Now, dealing with slanted lines, I explained this in another video, can't remember which one. Dealing with slanted lines versus straight lines, they are different because a slanted line is longer than a straight line, right? So we already did the front, right? Whatever this measurement is, I mean, we already did the back. Sorry. I do have a little dyslexia, a little. Please have patience with me. So whatever this side seam measurement was for the front bodice, I mean the back bodice that we did, the side seam of the back bodice, whatever that measurement is, that's what this line for the front have to be, right? So You would just make them equal. Basically, because sometimes this line here, because it slants in a little bit more than the back, sometimes it's longer than the back. Sometimes it's shorter than the back. So that's why I say whatever the back side seam is, that's what the front side seam of the bodice needs to be. So that's all. You just make them match. And then you're done. My gosh, that was fast, wasn't it? So that's your front bodice sloper and your back bodice sloper. Please leave a comment and let me know if I'm going too fast for you, if I'm not explaining certain things in a way that you understand them. Leave a comment, let me know, because that might be something I'll do in my Patreon, for my patrons. I haven't started my Patreon account yet, so that might be something I can use for that. I haven't started my Patreon account because I don't really know exactly what I want to do for my patrons, the people that provide funds for me to make better videos, more quality videos, and not just better quality videos, but more detailed and more, I forget the word, more insight, more content. Yeah, more detailed content, because there are so many little tricks I learned, and I want to share this, but I need certain things to do that. All right. So that's why the Patreon account, when I started, that's what that would be for, to provide me with funds so I can really give you a much better and deeper content. Right. And that doesn't mean people who are not patrons won't get to see things. You will get to see some of the stuff. It's just that maybe for my patrons, they'll get one-on-one videos. Maybe I'll just do a video for each patron. They can ask me for instructions on a particular design, and then I would do it. But that's perfect. I think that's what it's going to do. Ha 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 ha. And the patrons don't have to be designers, sewers, or pattern makers themselves. They can just be people who want something, and they have someone who knows how to sew but cannot make a certain pattern or a certain design. That's where I would come in. Okay? You be a patron, and you can have your own tailor step that game up without spending thousands of dollars for college. But I'm going to talking too much, all right? So that's the end of the video. Watch the other video, which was the back sloper. This is the front sloper. And then the next video would be the hip sloper, which will be very short because it's very simple. Maybe I'll do it after this. See you soon. Thank you. Like the video. Subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you.